seagulls. Follow the chord. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
And as we say now in my country, they brought the bus and they left the bus in front of the goal.
And the guy's talking absolute nonsense. Never heard so much rubbish in my life.
Normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
I'm telling you, don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back on board the bus. It's after 9 o'clock. We're on YouTube, we're live. It can only mean one thing. It's the Thursday night forum. It's that time where we get everybody on the bus and we throw you the keys because it's your comments, it's your questions, it's your points that are going to steer the bus and ultimately define our journey. As we build up towards a big semi-final against the Baddies at Hampden at the weekend, there's many questions still to be answered. Is the manager going to have a selection headache? Is there fitness worries? Fortunately for ourselves, there's no such problems here in the bus. We've got a full strength squad to choose for. And what a starting lineup we've got for you tonight. With us first and foremost, a man that needs no introduction. He's a stalwart of the forum. The man, the myth, the legend, the judge. It's Mark Kearney. Brother, how you doing? I've not seen you for a while.
I'm doing very well, Steve. Well, yourself, mate? How's things?
Good, mate. It's good to be back on. Good to see yourself.
Good,
and
mate,
joining us also is a man who also needs no introduction. The straight talker of the bus and a man that can use the word fuck like a comma. It's our very own BA, Mr. C, Big Connor Carr. How you doing, my man?
Oh, good evening, folks. How's it going? Everybody good?
Good to see you, mate. And there's a face in the corner. A familiar face, a legend of the bus. We've managed to coax him out his PMP cave for a wee midweek cameo. It's our very own Mr. Terry Robb. Great to see you. How are you getting on, mate?
I'm good. Thanks for bringing us on to something a wee bit more civilised than post-match pish. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, mate. It's not often we get to see you. And we know that you're a big favourite and a favourite of the ladies, I think, that watch this. So maybe that's going to help with numbers. So before we crack on, listen, get your comments, your questions straight in because we're going to not beat around the bush tonight. We're going to fire into your questions as quick as we can. But before we do that, we need to, of course, do a wee bit of housekeeping that we call all that good stuff. So if you're already here, take 2 seconds, flip over, hit the thumbs up, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? And if you want to feel a wee bit mental, you could even share the video. It just helps us extend the reach of the bus. And if you want to be a Bhoycie Bus member, and there is many of them, such as Jim, Stubbsy's horse, our very own Phil McGinley, Ryan Taylor. Then you can do that, $1.99, but all our content is the same cost as our Rangers transfer because it's $3.99. It does not cost you a thing to be a member of the bus or follow us. Any considerations you do just help keep the wheels spinning. Also, if you get yourself over to our social media, we've now got the Bhoycie Bus Twitter. Follow us on there, and it's also got all our guys' personal handles if you want to listen to shite that we talk out with the confines of the bus. And also, we've got a new partner, which is Acast. So get your body over to there. You'll be able to get all the uploads from now on for there. And last but not least, up in the top corner, piesports.com, the official sponsor of the bus. Get yourself over to piesports.com, place your order, and when you do that, make sure you fire in the discount code BUS1888 at the end to get a tasty 12.5% off your next order of $45 pies. So, that's the housekeeping out the way. Let's crack on. But before we do, you'll see there's a wee poll down there, and it's all about a top, I'm pretty sure we'll all saw on social media. That is, of course, what appears to be the new home kit for next year. It's 120 years of the hoops, and it's a wee bit controversial, but I think they're trying to create a original 1967 look by blanking out the badges. What's your thoughts on it? Let us know. Vote on the poll. And I just want to ask you guys, what do you think? I think it's a topper, personally. Let's start with Mark, because you've had a lot to say about this, mate, eh?
Well, I've actually changed my mind on it, mate. Yesterday I thought it was stinking, but then I seen a wee mock-up of how it would look, kind of full strip. We all seen the tap, and it looked a bit, it was all creased. The photograph we seen was all creased and wasn't very presented very good, so I thought, I don't like that. But when I saw the full tap, I went, oh, that's pretty smart, you know what I mean? I like the older stuff. I've said before a million times, I like the older kind of Celtic vibes with anything, but the badge kind of been kind of blanked out. I think they were trying to make it look like it wasn't there. I'm not a big fan of that. I'd rather have no badge at all, but I want to see it in person before I totally judge it. But when I first seen it, I thought, nah, not for me. But to be honest with you, Steve, I think it might look good. The big yellow alphabet thing might just throw the look off it, if you ask me, mate. But it looks better when you see the full strip than when you see that wee kind of quarter creased, lazily produced leak that Adidas put out yesterday.
It's certainly split an opinion, but I think when you see it in the light of day and it looks a bit clearer, it makes it more clearer and a bit more palatable. Connor, you like your shirts? You're a bit of a shirt aficionado. Where you at with it, my man?
I'm not going to sugarcoat it because I'm no fucking Willy Wonka. So, but if I did, Fig Morelos would be banging to my door to try and come eat it. But no, it's all right. It's all right. I don't know. See, we've been getting leaks for the past few weeks. The kits, the one that looked like somebody who goes playing airsoft or that, where it was all that kind of combat looking colours and that for a potential leak third kit. I was minging, but. No, I understand by going for, the anniversary and just having the kind of like the solid green hoops and try to white out the badge so that it's kind of, all the same and it looks very old style and classic. But obviously, I think having a big alphabet slapped right in the front of it would just absolutely ruin that aesthetic. So if that is it, and there is a chance to get the one without a sponsor, I'd be taking that one. But I don't know. I don't know if I do like it. I don't. I'm very much. It's just all right for me. I need to see it. I really need to see it in real life because I wasn't too keen on the current home kit when I first seen it, and then I got it, and I really like this year's one. It's really different.
Yeah, it's most of these tops seem to be grower. When they come out, we tend to not like them, and then we seem to do. What about you, Terry? Instant reactions on it. Any thoughts on that, mate?
I loved it. A bit like Mark says, I like the sort of old classic style with modern material and things like that. And I do agree with Mark when you see the full jersey, it's definitely a lot easier in the eye than just some of the little pictures that you've seen just of the badge area. I don't know if I've seen the same version as you guys or not, but the version that I seen, the Daffabet was in white as well. Is there another one going about with the Daffabets in colour?
I think it's uncertain, isn't it, Mark?
There was a picture that was mocked up by, I think it was a Celtic website. It was the top was seen that was leaked, and then it was how it would look with the Daffabet just now, and then the white Daffabet, but it said underneath that one, it just said unlikely. So that'd be a kind of unlikely version, because I was surprised that Adidas would kind of like blend in their own badge, but I've been told that happens very often. But I'd be very shocked that Daffabet would want to have their stuff front and centre, you know what I mean? But I like the white bit, Terry,
I liked it. There's absolutely zero chance of me paying full price for it, but I'll buy it. I'll buy it whenever we can. I'm still trying to get this year's home shirt, and I can't seem to find one of them for love nor money at the minute.
Well, it's got up £10, Terry. It's got up to £80 now for the home shirt.
For
£80?
£80, mate.
I can wait.
No chance.
I can wait for a couple of years yet.
Get those bargain basements, wait for it to go down. But on that, do you remember with this top with the 125 shirt, and it was white and with all white whited out, and they done it with the tenants? Maybe they'll do something similar there, you know. So let's hope. But so far, it's early days. It's split there in the post. It's roughly about half and half. Folk, it's really dividing folk. So listen, get your questions in. Let's just crack on, shall we? So first we'll get Paddy Maguire. He's saying, with the season coming to a close, would you like to see some of the young lads getting a run out or stay as we are, since we're looking to break these records? Also, would you expect any of the loan players to get back into our side? I'll go to yourself with this one, Terry. You've often got some good squad-based opinions after the PMP matches. So where are you at with that, my friend?
Don't see any of the loan players getting back into the side. Absolutely not. They were sent on loan for a reason, because they weren't good enough. In terms of the young lads, I would always have been supporting some kind of rule where with your 9 subs, you had to have a certain amount of players under a certain age. I thought that would have made a lot of sense. I think, and you can see the last 4 to 6 weeks, he's had young Vata involved, and Ben Summers as well. I would say those two will see a bit of game time once the job's finally done and dusted. Whether or not there's a few more, I think the manager hinted in a press conference before Christmas that there were a few other lads that weren't far away either. So I would be all for bringing the lads through. I'm not overly hung up on records and things like that. Whether we win the league by 1 point or we win it by 50 points, I don't really care as long as we win it. I think you get so few opportunities to give any of the kids a chance, because every game at Celtic is a must-win game, other than when the title's already won. Although they're probably must-win games as well, because the fans are so demanding and we want every game. So I think if we get the job done against Hearts next weekend, there's 4 more games that to me don't mean an awful lot. You've got the game at Ibrox, which obviously I wouldn't want to lose, but what an opportunity that would be if you were able to give some of the young lads a few minutes there. And don't forget, he played Ben Doak. He brought Ben Doak on against Rangers last season in a sort of last-ditch attempt to try and get him to stay. So I would expect to see. I'd expect to see certainly Vata and Summers will get game time. It wouldn't surprise me if a few more do as well. I suppose the overriding fact is they need to be good enough as well. And I think the manager that we've got certainly shows very little sentiment. So if he doesn't think the guys are good enough, he's not just going to play them for the sake of ticking a box to say, I've brought through a couple of young lads here. He must think they're good enough, or he wouldn't be considering playing them.
Yeah, no, that's fair call. What about yourself, Mark? Obviously, you're world round on the bus for some strong opinions on it. What are you thinking? There's one there for you, Mikey Dewey. Has this Portugal loan worked out? Is he a guy that could creep his way back in?
No, I think you're better off with Michael Jackson. If I'm being totally honest, I'm not his biggest fan. I think he did a wee purple patch when he was under Lennon, or I think he might have been, and he played a couple of good games, scored a couple of screamers. Maybe wrong in that timeline, but he's proven to been a bit of a shite bag when it comes to Celtic Park. And seeing the fans are on your back at Celtic Park, it's how you react that makes you a Celtic player, Steve. You know what I mean? It's how you react to that crowd, and that's why I was a wee bit surprised that Vata played so well the last week, because it was getting a bit toxic the last 20-25 minutes. I was surprised that he got game time, but he showed up pretty well in my opinion. I thought he was unlucky to not get an assist with all. But in terms of the loan players, I agree with Terry. I don't think any of them that have been put on loan have been put out to clubs that would make you think, okay, they've been put out to clubs that are playing the same type of football as Celtic play, so they've been sent out there to develop and then come back and step into that role at Celtic. I think if you look at the teams that they've been sent out to, none of them was maybe fighting for championships really, or playing at a level which Celtic would deem like they can be coming in and adding to their squad. So I can't see it, but I could be wrong. No, and I think the Vata and Summers ones are quite interesting.
Oh, he's frozen up there. He's frozen up there. Whilst we wait on Mark to get back in, let's go yourself on it, Connor. Do you want to follow up anything?
Have I clicked off?
Oh, you did, my friend. You did. There's a wee freeze there. You all right?
How long was that for?
10 seconds.
Because I was about to move on. I was going to get you in the bin, man. You were getting chucked in the big skip. But listen, I'll let you finish back off so you're back in. Finish on. On you go.
Who, me?
Aye, I'm not going to cut you off. That's rude.
I don't know what happened there. I don't know if I was... Am I still on live now?
Yeah, mate. You're still very much with us.
I don't know what I got to, mate.
Mikey Johnson's shooting the roof for them with your aerial, man. Try to get you off.
I don't know where I got to be honest with you.
He's lost it. Listen, it's time. Don't worry about it, Connor.
Put it this way, I'll sum it up. None of the players are good enough. The players that's coming on, the youth players, have came on because with injuries. That's it. That's what summed up.
Aye. Well, Connor, rather than just pose the exact same question to you, let's talk about these guys that are out on loan. So they're out on loan. If they're not going to come back to us, do you think any of them are saleable assets? Are we going to get any return on any of them? If so, who?
I don't know. If you think about it, who's out on loan? Like Sorrow, Barkas, Mikey Johnson, Ideguchi, who I think as soon as his fucking plane landed in Japan, he must have got whiplash for the lander and injured himself again. But I don't know. He's... I can't tell you, I don't think so. It's looking very like maybe Mikey Johnson if he decides to stay in Portugal, but I heard something round about that club could actually afford them. It's the same with that club in Belgium, Ostend or whatever, that is as it. Apparently they would like to have him, but they can't afford them. I think he's been on loan there twice, if I'm not mistaken, but they can't afford them. I'm like, I know Pistol Pete's in the office, but come on, can you just lower the price? If you can get rid of the deadwood, please, and just stealing a wage. But no, it's maybe Johnson, and maybe if Barkas was to go to Utrecht or another club, because I think he's actually done okay over there, but I don't know if that says about the quality of the opposition they're up against. If we can't put a goal pass for Silas Barkas, he's got horns like fucking polo mints. But no, maybe Barkas and maybe Johnson. I'd say that's about the long and short. It's all we get money for, in all honesty.
You think so? Utrecht, they've showed a wee bit of interest, and I think they've balked at the shat their pants at the fee. We need a goalie to win that. Barkas, is that completely dead in the water, guys? Am I losing the plot with making such a suggestion? Terry, you're my man that I go to for when I want an analysis on a player. Barkas, is there any route back for him?
I'd like to say yes, because I firmly do believe there is a goalkeeper in there somewhere, because since he's gone to Holland, he's been talked about as the best goalkeeper in that league. And prior to coming to us, and I know you can't base it on one game, but he was outstanding against us in the Champions League, and he also had 2 man of the match performances against Bayern Munich as well. So I've absolutely no doubt somewhere in there is a goalkeeper. But based on what we've seen playing for Celtic, where he just didn't make any attempts to save in it, he just was falling over, or I just don't know. I'd love to be able to put it down to just that that COVID season where everything was just crazy and write that season off. And I don't know. I suppose it's possible. I think we'll be looking for a new goalkeeper. I think it would be negligent if we weren't looking to try and upgrade on Joe Hart this summer, to be honest. Do you think Mark has the answer? Probably not. Would I let him come back, have a few training sessions, maybe throw him in a friendly? Possibly. I think there's a keeper in there, but I'm very, very doubtful if we'll ever see it in a Celtic shirt, to be honest.
It's disappointing. I think it's maybe been a bit of another experiment gone wrong. You know, it's something that I think we've always needed to invest in, but then it didn't really come together. So here's one that I'll put out here, talking about players, and we're looking a bit adapting. Are there any players from other Scottish clubs that Celtic should be signing or at least looking at? Or is that market just not worthwhile? That's Martin Gallagher that's asking. It's something we've spoken about before. We've asked, you know, should we be looking at the Scottish market? And the boy Duke, his name came up at Aberdeen. He seems to be catching the eye. So, Connor, what's your thoughts on him, mate? Is there a player in there? Is that a market that we should be looking at?
I mean, I always kind of thought Duke, if we were to go for any of them, would be probably the one that I'd go for myself. I think he's kind of, you know, he's kind of right age. He's shown what he can do, you know, against the teams in this league, and he's done it kind of against Rangers as well. But I don't think the question is whether we fancy them or not, or whether we think they're good enough. It's whether Ange does, because at the end of the day, he's the one making the signings, and I don't think he rates this league one bit at all. I mean, Mark said it 100 times before, the quality, especially this season, it doesn't matter how good Barry Robson's staying at Aberdeen or, you know, Hangmead staying at Motherwell. The quality's been absolutely shocking this season. It has been really, really bad. You look at the fact that Hearts, who were so strong in third place, just the arse just absolutely collapsed at them. And now Aberdeen are sitting pretty in third. Hibs at the start of the season were looking to get fucking relegated. It was madness. Dundee United, who are usually like a decent, strong team, but mid to top table, are going down. Kilmarnock came up, they're going right back down. It's all been pretty poor. They've all been taking points off each other week in, week out. There's no real teams there, you would say, have had a really good season. So to kind of look at the players, I don't know, that Van Veen's maybe just going through a bit of a purple patch. You look at the age and that as well. He's in his 30s and that, and he's only just managing. You kind of do something in a Motherwell shirt. That's not really the kind of area I would look at. Shankland, she's banging in goals for Hearts, but he's, you know, the new bears in the James Tavern, except he looks like fucking Pennywise at it. He's, you know, just scoring penalties all the time, man. He's like, you know, so I think the only one I would take personally is I'd maybe even have a look at his Duke, but it's whether Andrew would want them or not, do you know what I mean?
Aye. Well, you've thrown out a few names there. I mean, I certainly wouldn't. I'd rather have my kneecaps drilled than see Shankland in a Celtic shirt, that's for sure. But what about you, Mark? Your strong opinions on some of the Scottish contingent and, you know, other teams' players. Is there any value in any of these guys?
I think you'd have to at least look at them if you're for a scouting perspective, but none of them was chew up well with the numbers, you know what I mean? And I can't see many of them scoring against the bigger teams or making an impact in Europe. And you got to kind of suggest that they would be, either if they were second choice or third choice, there might come a chance or opportunity that these guys would have to put on a Celtic jersey and play in some big important games for Celtic. And you can imagine having to play like 5-6 games or even more than that with a Duke or a Van Veen in a Celtic jersey. I don't think you win a league title or even perform well in Europe with that level of player. I really don't. I know it sounds a bit like we're putting the league down, but you've got teams like Livingston. I mean, they're a club that's paying, in their manager's own words, a salary that, like, say, me and you are on, Steve. You know what I mean? It's not like, and they're competing and they're touching the top 6 most seasons. That just shows you the actual level of what we're playing at. It's a level. It's a harsh reality. Some football fans don't want to admit to, but it's a bit of backwater up here. You know what I mean? But we've only got one opponent, and that's Rangers. But Rangers got to a European final last year, so they're no mugs. We just happen to be much better than them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's Celtics. It's Celtics doing how good Celtic are. I mean, most seasons, it's not every season you can hit what nearly May now, and we've dropped 7 points, mate. You know what I mean? It's all right. The narrative must be that Rangers are shite, but they'd have to be very good to keep up with us. I mean, in a lot of seasons, Celtic couldn't keep up with Celtic. This has been a really good season for Celtic, and I can't see players in the other teams providing us with that next level of player. And we always speak on at this pod about selling that £2 million player, getting 10 for them, and then okay, let's get a £5 million player. Let's make the next player better. Now, we're not going to bring that in for Aberdeen and Kilmarnock and Hearts, but even when you're talking about squad padders, what's the point in getting rid of David Turnbull and replacing them with somebody of less quality for Hearts or Hibs, or you know what I mean? Or what's the point in getting rid of Albion Ajeti, who there was definitely a European standard player there at one point, and replacing him with a guy who's had a purple patch at Motherwell, or a guy who's probably going to go back to Benfica, go on loan to somewhere in the Championship and score 4 goals next season. It's just no Celtic level, mate, in my opinion.
I think that's fair. I think it's all about consistency, and a lot of these guys tend to, they have a wee purple patch, as you say, but it's about the transition to a big club like Celtic. Can you keep it on? Here's one there I'll come to you. We're talking about these domestic players, Terry. It's a name that's come up before. Nisbet. John Jota is saying, do you think we should sign Nisbet for goals in the league? There's round better players, and also Rangers don't try to take him. I think we're a bit beyond that, trying to stop Rangers signing players. I mean, they can't sign anybody anyway. They have no money to begin with, but I think we're looking beyond that, aren't we? But there's always been that question, Terry, of we want to improve, we want to have players that are going to take us to the next level in Europe, but you need to caveat your squad with the best of the rest, if you will. Is Nisbet somebody, is he somebody that could fit that bill, or do you see any merit of the guys that I've just spoke about there?
I think I said in the January window I would have taken Nisbet just as a third option up front. He's not going to make our starting 11 any stronger, but I do think out of the rest of the league, he is one player who's shown some sort of signs of ability. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not. I don't think so. I don't think Celtic will be showing any interest in anybody from any of the other teams. There's a couple we've missed out on that I really would have liked. Hickey and also Josh Doig from Hibs. I think Josh Doig would have been as good an option, if not better, than Bernabei. Definitely do. And Hickey has gone on to do really well in Italy. He's made a good impression since he moved to the Premiership. He's now been linked with Man City, believe it or not. So those two show that there can be players come through. Celtic were linked with both of those lads, but for whatever reason, I think that we did have Hickey on our books, then we let him go. Then we were linked with him in and around the time that he played against us in the Scottish Cup final. But for whatever reason, that deal didn't happen. And I think at that time you were talking $1.5 million, $2 million, $3 million tops. And now the lad's there's all sorts of zeros on his transfer value. So those were two that got away. Lewis Ferguson's gone on to do quite well. He's getting rave reviews in Italy, but he wouldn't have been one that I would have pressed the button on. I really don't see the guy from Aberdeen has looked good in flashes. Do I see him at Celtic? No. I think possibly he could be a replacement for Kent over at Rangers or something like that, because they're going to be shopping in the car boot sale sort of marketplace. I heard Mickey Bailey the other day talking about he was asked about his transfer budget, and he said when we go to look at players, it doesn't matter about the fee. The fee's not important. It's whether that player's right for us, which to me was just a complete admission that he hasn't got a pot to piss in this summer. I'd even be surprised if they go ahead and sign the fella Tillman, because they've got a $5 million option on him. But I would think if they go for him, that's probably over budget even straight away. But I don't know, what do you think someone like Duke would be worth in the transfer market? You're talking 300 grand, 500 grand. Would it be more than that?
Well, I suppose it's subjective, isn't it? It's like any of those things. You see guys, and if they've got a bit of form, it depends if it's coming to it's a Celtic or Rangers come calling, then they're obviously going to start asking big money. Though probably if they go down south, I dare say they cost that kind of circa money that you're talking there, but they're happy to move them on. But
you could see
Connor,
Duke going to Rangers for $500,000 and
I don't know.
spending that on Liam Scales.
Are Aberdeen going to sell them another top player after
and
the
then
great Ryan Jack?
They get Liam Scales and we get the cash.
Aye, that's it. Connor, see on that, we're talking about some of the players that were brought up, Doige and the likes of Hickey. They were supposedly our interest at one point, and the fees were, by all accounts, not that much. But do you think that we were put off by a probably slightly inflated fee because they were within Scotland? Do you think if that was looking at somebody from down south or abroad, that we would have been happy to kind of pay that fee for these guys? I mean, why would we not do it? Is it because it's in Scotland? Are we fair to the quality of the league?
I mean, no, I don't know. I feel like clubs, whenever they're battering with us, especially here, like in the same league, they always just bump up the price when they're setting us because they know we've got the money. You look at when we're trying to get players for Hibs and whatever over the years, they just bump up the prices dramatically than what they would ask for teams down south. And it's the league that hates itself. In my opinion, it's just like, all right, okay, we would sell them to, I don't know, a Scunthorpe or a Rotherham United for, I don't know, 600k to 800k. But no, Celtic's come along, we'll try and sell them for $1 million to 1.5 million. It's no, I don't know if we're scared of the quality of the league or not, because we look at I know he's not everybody's cup of tea now, but Turnbull got him from Motherwell. He came in and done really well. We even loaned out players to teams in this league, like Ayer and Christie needed well and came back and performed really well. So although granted, I think the quality of the league was going to be a bit better back then, and we've got Scott McDonald, Skippy from Motherwell as well. So it's not necessarily, I'd say, the league that we're necessarily scared of buying them. I'd say, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of short-sightedness, or maybe we just don't fancy them. Maybe we've got other pots on the stove cooking away. Maybe something in the pipeline.
Aye, no, that's the thing. It's we're always looking at new targets. We always need to develop our squad and stuff. But let's just talk a wee bit for a second about our squad that we've got at this moment in time. As I said at the start of the show, we're still not really any clearer as to where we're going to go. So we've got a big game at the weekend, and the big questions are obviously Hatate, Jota, and possibly Abada. Terry, the game's coming up, mate. What's your thoughts on it? What are we needing? What are we going to play, and what's the game plan going to be for that midfield particular? Because that's going to be the key battleground, isn't it? Can we afford to not have Hatate in and run with Awata, or is he an essential? Is he a must-play if he's fit?
I don't know whether we can afford it. If he's not fit to play, he's not fit to play, and that's it. We can't afford to put him in there if he's not fit to play. My thoughts on it, and I haven't seen very much this week around who's been at training and availability. I would be very surprised if it's anything different than Iwata, McGregor and O'Reilly starting the game. If Hatate makes the bench, happy days. Further forward, I think Jota will play, Maida will play, Kyogo will play, and then the rest of the back five picks itself. But the midfield generally is where these games are won and lost. I'd love to have Hatate in there, absolutely would. I would expect it to be Iwata. I think he's looked okay. I think he's looked like a really safe pair of hands in there. The captain obviously plays. That goes without saying. And I think O'Reilly, just in the last 3 games, has just started to play his way into some kind of form that resembles the O'Reilly of last year. So I'd expect it to be those 3. I think they'll come up against... I think Lundstrom will be in there, obviously, to unsettle. I don't know whether they'll go for a double pivot with Lundstrom and Jack. They tried that one game, it didn't work. Then they told us that they lost the game because they didn't play their 2 January midfielders that they signed, and they played the January midfielders in the next game and lost that as well. So I don't think it matters who they put in. I think if our 3 are in there, and I think if McGregor and O'Reilly are pulling the strings and Iwata's breaking up their attacks, I think that's going to set us up for a victory.
Absolutely. Now, you might have seen there's a big blonde elephant that's just popped into the room. because our esteemed leader, Bhoycie's here. And in case you're wondering what that is, this is just showing the strength and depth of this squad. The manager's came on. He's handed the captain's armband over because the serious man, the man of the Thursday night forum, is having to depart early. Mark, I don't want to keep you too long, my friend. Is there anything you want to say as a parting shot, or have you got to rush away, my friend?
I wanted you to be able to say bye, Mark. I would have felt wrong, like just taking him off the screen. I was like, that's not right. Do you know what I mean? That is not a cool way to do things.
I'm up super early in the morning, folks.
I know.
Up at like 5 in the morning, so I need to go rather than 5:30. I'm up a bit earlier, so no, I'm not getting to say, mate. Don't know. Fuck UEFA, maybe. More than that, I'll catch you 4 later. Have a nice one.
No worries.
Bhoycie, you better do my
yourself,
shot justice, mate. You better do my shot justice.
I will, mate. Thanks for keeping it warm for me, mate.
Thanks, boys.
Bye. He's here. Our esteemed leader is joining us. And he's not getting away lightly because we're just going to throw one
I'm not happy with that, Terry. See, bottom left, cheating bastard, honestly. The only reason I'm on isn't because Mark's going off. I'm only on because it's just like, I'm not having him doing shows without me on. Do you know what I mean? Like, Terry, you're banging the order. It's like, I've never felt like this in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, see, in my most serious relationship in my life, and she cheated on me. That was a horrible feeling. Seeing Terry on screen on the T.N.F without me on it, levels, man, levels. I feel my heart is broken, mate.
Well, see, he offered me a free diet plan.
I says to him, we'll get you some doner pie shipped over. He's easily coaxed out, you know. But listen, Bhoycie joins us, and that doesn't save him for the question, because here's one straight off the back. If Jota isn't 100% fit, I would start Vata ahead off, and we've all seen the clip. Haksabanovic. So, Haksabanovic, my friend, he's a wee favourite of yours. He falls into that Giacomakis style mould. Where are you at?
It's difficult. It's difficult. We've spoken about it. See, the one thing is by the way, can I just say as well, I'm only on because it was always agreed, and as everyone in the group chat knows, I was always coming on at this time before anyone thinks, oh, I need to come on. It was a bit of banter. It was always planned to be this way.
A planned substitution.
I planned. It was like Ange used to do triple swaps on 60 Minutes bang on. You used to know it. I'm one of those. But when it comes to Haksabanovic, I just think he's suffering right now from realising that this is a tough school, and it's great having the ability when we're all in control of a game and the outcome is already decided, and you're not influencing it as much as it might look great, the frills and the icing on the cake that you're putting on. But when it comes to being decisive and actually dictating outcomes, I think he's been found a bit wanting. Notwithstanding that, though, I would go back and I would defend him in the sense that I feel when he's started games, he's playing on the wrong side. That's not his side. However, to then double it back round again, I would say, if you want to start on the left, Ange's favourite is probably Maeda. Jota's, for me, the best player at the club. I've said that before and I stand by it. And he's a superstar. But Jota's best position's the left. You want to get ahead of those two, you're pissing in the wind. So you're going to need to adapt. And for whatever reason, there seems to be this sort of narrative that Haksabanovic could play this number 10 role for us. But Ange clearly doesn't fancy that because he's given him very limited, if any, minutes in that sort of role. It seems to me it's either you're going to make it on the right or you're going to be left behind. When it comes to doubts about whether you should start ahead of Vata, I think if Jota isn't fit, I mean, if Haksabanovic doesn't make the starting lineup for a younger player like that, I would be seriously concerned about where his long-term future would be. But notwithstanding that, I'm concerned about everyone's long-term future. If you don't impress under Ange, he makes his decision.
Aye, Terry. Talk shit here. Terry, you've had a few things to say about Haksabanovic. What's got myself as well? Haksabanovic, if we're having a wee crisis, are you bringing him in? Do you trust him? Do you think he's able to rise to the occasion for the start against the Rangers at Hampden?
I suppose it's possible. He hasn't done it in his last few starts. I can't see him throwing Vata in from the start. So I think if Jota's fit, Jota will play. If Abada was fit but Jota wasn't, Abada would play. If those two aren't fit, then it's probably by default going to be Haksabanovic. Another sort of left field option would be Kyogo out on the right and O through the middle. I can't really think of any other option. I know that whenever Juranovic was there was at least one occasion where we played Ralston and Juranovic both on the right-hand side, but whether that would work with Ralston and Johnson, I doubt it very much. So if Jota's fit, Jota starts. If not, then it's Abada. If not, then it's Haksabanovic by default. But we could be sitting here on Sunday afternoon and we could be talking about a moment of magic from Haksabanovic that was the difference between the sides, because he has it in his locker. There's absolutely no doubting the guy he's got.
Do you know, I think as well, like, see the bit between your teeth bit, you know, he's got an itch to scratch, I feel, after Hampden, Steve-O.
Yeah.
I think, like, see that miss at the end, remember he could have put the gloss on it, and I think that was almost, that belied his abilities as a footballer. I thought that was his moment that could have probably elevated him as well to being so much more confident. I'll play in the right, I'll play anywhere. See, once you've had that moment, you know, with the fans all there at Hampden in a final, and you've got them in the palm of your hand, that's your Freddie Mercury Live Aid moment. Do you know what I mean? and he blew it. And I think sometimes though, a wounded animal can be more dangerous than one that's getting all the love and all the attention. And maybe there's just a wee bit of like there's payback due there on a personal level for him. I wonder about that bit.
He could be a big game player as well, and it might just take a game of the magnitude of this one to get his juices really flowing and get him completely up for it.
What about you, Connor? You're right to come in there, my friend. Did you see? Is he got it in him?
Well, I remember what he said after it in the interview. I think after it he said, obviously this was kind of coming in with his kind of attitude thing, like not having a negative attitude by any means, but he's saying, yeah, I missed, but he says, next time I'm playing this kind of game, he says, I will not miss. He says, I am built for these games. These are the kind of games that I'm built for. And at the time, because, you know, we were just off the back of beating them in the final, you were just like, fucking yes, sir, well done. That's what I like to hear. And, you know, he's been kind of doing interviews recently saying, he goes, I know I've not had as many opportunities, but when I'm just trying to be patient. When I get the opportunities, I'll try and take them and stuff. And so far, he's not really done it. Granted, he's not playing on his natural side. However, you know, that doesn't stop Jota. You know, I know I'm not trying to compare the two because I think they're.
No, but I agree with you. No, I agree with
leagues,
you. I think you're telling the truth though. He's been put in start lineups to dictate outcomes. It's
you look
simple.
at
when you start, you've got to dictate an outcome, Connor. And unfortunately, whether we like it or not, his good moments have came with the outcomes already been dictated for him, and he has failed to impress it from that point of view.
I mean, you look at the 4-0 pumping the Rangers at Celtic Park earlier on in the season. Jota was playing on the right wing that day, and he scored, you know, arguably the goal of the season from playing on the right wing, not his natural position. So, you know, it's kind of like, okay, you're not playing in natural position, but just shut up and nut up and just, you know, take this opportunity that you're being gifted, because if it wasn't for the injuries, he would not be in that starting lineup any day of the week. I'm sorry, but he wouldn't. It would be Maeda and Jota starting, and he'd be coming off the bench when, you know, we're 3-4-0 up to come in and maybe score a worldie for 20 yards out and do a couple of stepovers. But he needs to take the opportunity, you know, and whether Sunday's going to be that day or not, we'll have to see, because there's obviously the case whether if Abada's fit, do you start Abada on the right, because he's gave them a hell of a time, you know, when he's played against them. You know, Borna Barisic will be fucking sitting sweating during the night, hoping he doesn't see his name on that team sheet on Sunday, you know. So yeah, I hope that whatever lineup we go for, I hope that whoever we know is not necessarily turned up in these games before, they really take this opportunity, because they need to know how important this is to the fans. You know, we haven't had a treble in a couple of years for, you know, a certain demographic. Unfortunately, I fall into that because of my age. I know I don't look it, but we've known nothing. We've known nothing but trebles. And
well, that's the thing. That's the thing, mate. Listen, it's all about winning these games. It's all about stepping up. Hopefully, we'll be at a stage where we don't need to depend on guys to step up, and we'll get what it is that we desire and what we expect. But the first choice guys coming in, people are saying Abada, if he's fit, he gets straight in. Where are you at with these kind of things, Bhoycie? We've spoken about not having match time in your legs or whatever. And there's been exceptions of special talents like Jota, special talents like Hatate. Does Abada fit into that mould? He's done well against Rangers, but again, he's been a guy that seems to have performed better coming off the bench. Is he a guy that you would throw in?
Abada's he's full of magic moments. That's what it reminds me. He's someone who just seems to be a player that when you watch him get the ball and he's got a one-on-one and he's got there's yards behind his fullback that's marking him, for example, right? And he's got the ball at his feet. I would say the chance of him taking him on and beating his man and running into that space are slim to none. He seems to overcomplicate it in his mind. Not because he's incapable of doing it, but the time he gets to think complicates situations for Abada. In these big games, though, funnily enough, because of the nature and the intensity and the speed that these games are played at, it just so happens that he'll just find himself in a position, and that's good work on his part, finding pockets of space, but he's got zero time to think, boom, hits the ball, goal. Make a dart and run out of nowhere. It's instinctive. Everything he's doing it's on impulse. And when he does that, that's a very effective Abada. And what we would say, I would agree with you in terms of the impact he makes as a sub. But in this particular fixture, it seems to be when he starts, he has a bigger impact against Rangers than what he probably does in the rest of the games he starts, which is a weird conundrum.
What about yourself, Terry? Abada, he's been largely out of the picture. There's been talk about he might be getting moved on, and then he might just turn up on Sunday. Are you going to start him? What's your thoughts, my friend? Let me know.
Bhoycie's heard me talk about Abada loads of times.
That's why I've asked.
Abada would be in my starting 11, and just what he gives you. I mean, if I was to say to you now, Abada's going to start on Sunday, would you expect him to be involved in a goal? I'm pretty sure you would, because his numbers tell you that he's going to, because his goal involvements are second to none. He just hasn't played. I know he's played in virtually every game, but I don't think it doesn't feel to me as if he's had as many starts this season as he's had last season. And now he's had this injury, whatever it is. I don't think the manager will start him. I would start him all day long, because I just love the idea that the danger that he gives you, the record that he's got against Rangers. I think if his name's on the team sheet, the fullback on the Rangers side will immediately smell fear, because he's give him a doing a couple of times. The whole thing about whether he's staying or leaving.
Terry,
or not,
very quickly.
Yes,
see the last 3 games, we've not been that convincing, right?
Aye.
Has Abada started any of them?
No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't. That's a good point.
No.
There you are. Very good point. Didn't even think about it.
It's just occurred to me now, by the way. Don't think I'm
the last 3 against Rangers.
I'm not doing stats behind your back just to jump on and hijack the show. I went, it just dawned on me that when Terry said that, I went, it is a coincidence of sorts, isn't it?
Well, it's he seems to turn it on against him. He's not, as you say, it shows you out of sight, out of mind. I couldn't have even told you that he hadn't featured the past few. Just goes to show how long it's been. Here's one as well. We spoke throughout the week and before. We've looked at the suggestions that we might have a crisis, be decisions to make, maybe mix it up. Maybe it's now not the time to experiment. But do you think there's going to be? We always talk about that wee one that you don't see coming. The wee ace up the sleeve, the wee jiggery pokey of the formation. Are we going to see a surprise? Are we going to see a shift to the traditional formation and lineup? What are you thinking, Connor? Are we going to, is Ange get something up his sleeve, or is it just going to be unleashing the norm?
Maybe. I think it's obviously down to the speculation over who's fit or not. I think that's kind of more the ace up the sleeve or what Ange has, or ACs. You never know. You could have multiple by fit for Sunday. I think personally, right, that we'll have two of them fit and ready to go, and maybe one might be able to come on as an impact sub. And if it's two of them, and I have to pick the two of them, I would obviously pick Hatate and Jota to start over necessarily Abada, and that's not because I dislike Abada. He's been excellent for us. Young Player of the Year last year, possibly get it this year. He's scored bags of goals against them. In fact, I think every time he started against Rangers, we've pumped them. 3-0 at Celtic Park and then 4-0 subsequently. This season just past there. So yeah, and he's very much. I don't know what it is. I just don't think. I think because he's not stereotypically like even a Maeda or a Jota, where he doesn't just run at the defenders. They don't necessarily think he's there. They can't pick him up because they might not necessarily look like he's getting as involved in the play, and that's why he's there to kind of ghost in at these areas and that where he's not getting picked up, because unlike Jota and Maeda, they'll just constantly run at their fullbacks and trying to skin them and get past them. Then he's maybe not necessarily in their mind's eye. But with regards to aces up the sleeve and who we might see a couple of changes, I don't know. It's if we had a fully fit squad, who maybe won't come back for injury, I'd probably say no, we'll stick with what we went last time, when we played them. But you never know. He might start Vata on the right and Ben Shaw's up front.
I think it's a big game for a young boy, isn't it?
I know, but it's I think we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, there's a lot of positivity around Dove. He looks hungry since he's came about. Terry, you've seen him a few times as we all have. You've given us some thoughts on him before. Is he likely a big guy? Could this be a big occasion? A new hero arrives. Do you think he's going to get game time, or because he offers something different? He offers that physicality, does he not? And we spoke about that. We're going to seem to be getting that for Awata. Do you think that's something that we should tap into? Because let's face it, this is their entire season, and that means it's going to be blood, snot, and tears. Do we need that physicality? Do we need to be thinking about options like O and Awata at some stage, or at least maybe for the start?
I'm pretty sure O will get game time, but it'll not be from the start. I can't see Ange doing anything other than being true to form with the formation, with Kyogo playing up front. O will come on. He'll come on for one of two reasons. We'll either be ahead and he'll get his normal run out, or we'll be behind or drawn and we'll need a goal from him. So I'd expect him probably in and around the 60, 70 minute mark. He will make an appearance as he does. Will he make an impact? Very possible, because that's what his role has been so far, to be an impact substitute. So he'll not start for me, but he will play at some point. He likes to throw himself about, so no better place to do it than in a cup semi-final against guys that like to throw themselves about. What was the other one? Abada. Again, it just depends. I think Abada just depends on who else is available. It depends on his fitness, Jota's fitness. I don't think
Jota's not in the brazen head. Right. Jota's not in the brazen head, Terry, if he's not playing on at the weekend.
No, he's not.
He's not cutting about in double denim, mate. He is playing, I think. There's no way.
Jota in the brazen head, that ended me. Wow.
But do you know what? See, the whole thing about his look is a disgrace. He's got a mullet, a moustache, double denim, and I still want to be him. I'm like, he is the man. But I think that's a guy who's telling you he's playing at the weekend. I know that sounds quite bizarre because you're like, well, why aren't you on the training ground? But there's no way he's putting himself out there like that as a guy who's been a spectator. I think that's confirmed it for me that he's playing. He's starting.
He'll play. So in answer to your question, then I think what we're saying is, will start on sub, and if Abada's fit, Abada will start as a sub as well, and both of them could make a major impact on the game, because that's what they do.
Bhoycie, we've probably seen it as well. Happens all the time, doesn't it? Their players just can't seem to shut their mouths. This time it was number 5 all over that was out saying once again that he doesn't think that Celtic are that far ahead of them. And once again, we've been promised to see the real Rangers in this cup final. But the question is, are we going to see the real Celtic? Because let's face it, we've not quite saw it, have we? It just doesn't seem to have clicked. 3-2 in the last game. We looked like it was going to be a bit of cakewalking in it. Got a bit shaky. What's your thoughts on how the game's going to pan out? Is it this all or nothing? It's got a bit more needly, is it not? How do we tackle the game? Do we continue to go with, what we're going to do and deal with it?
I tend to subscribe to Jonathan's perspective that it's very much it's not all or nothing, it's something or nothing for Rangers. I think that's the best term I've heard. If they win, it's something. But it's not all or nothing for them. I mean, it's something or nothing. That's all it is. In terms of how the game will pan out, I don't know. We've not been in this blistering form of late, but notwithstanding that, we've looked at us at the weekend and we were all shocked that we still drew. That was because before that it had been, 18 wins in a row, 17 wins in a row?
Yep.
And in that time, we'd found dips in form, apparently. You look at the history books, so you'll look at that and go, what the fuck were we talking about? That's the honest truth. We'll just look back at the history books and go, look at that winning streak under Ange. Look at that unbeaten streak. And we were saying at times players are out of form. We were finding holes in that. How is it us? Are we the problem? However, in terms of displays against them, I don't know what to make of it. I feel like the last time we played them at Celtic Park, they were very effective in stopping Celtic doing what Celtic do best. But when it came to them having impact on what would happen in the game and actually influencing the match when they had possession, I didn't see many ideas, Steve-O. I actually think that's where we bossed it in a weird way, that when we don't have the ball, the pressing we did, which led to obviously Jota's goal, for example, they're not quite, they think they've got an ideology in their head that the manager will have given them as to how to stop us doing what we do and how to stop Ange ball, if you want to use that term, right? They've got an idea of that. But how to then not just, the next step will be, well, how come then once you get the ball back, or you might nullify some of Celtic's attacking influences, what do you do when you have the ball? We pass you the ball, what are you going to do with it? And I find that's where they come a wee bit unstuck. They might look at it, though, and say, well, we got 2 goals at your ground. We got 2 goals at Ibrox. We still scored when we were 2-0 down, and many of us thought that game in the in the League Cup final could have went on to 3-4-5. They actually brought it back to 2-1.
Yep.
So that's 5 goals from their point of view in the last 3 games. But I look at the importance of the goals that they've scored, and I do believe that they're answering our questions at this moment in time. And I don't think in the last 3 games we've actually asked the questions we're capable of asking. I think we've asked what you would expect Celtic to ask. But I don't think we've actually asked yet, like, the juggernaut questions that I think this team's more than capable of showing domestically this season numerous times.
Connor, on that, following off what Bhoycie says, and a great point that David Kelly makes. It's something I certainly noticed. I'm sure you guys noticed as well. We talked about the way that the game panned out in the last time, and a big factor was they stopped us and closed us and made us narrow. And a big factor in that was closing off McGregor and stopping him being accessible to get the ball. Was that simply because we didn't have that dynamic element, Connor, of Hatate in the centre to move them out, drag them out of position and create that space for McGregor a wee bit more? Could Awata be the solution, as David Kelly says here, that will allow McGregor that freed up space?
It could be, yeah. I feel like if on Sunday we went with the starting midfield of McGregor, Hatate and Awata, I feel like we would absolutely boss that midfield, because, I mean, you look at what would be up against. I know that maybe they kind of nullified McGregor a bit, but if you give him that room to roam, he does kind of take the game by the scruff of the neck, if you want to put it that way. That's if it is needed and done at that time. But, we'll be up against TikTok Todd and, Nicholas Raskin, who always contributed to the league. He's looking like an Amish farmer. But no, and whatever hammer thrower, whether it's Lundstrom or Jack to put in there, you know, it's I don't know. I feel like if we play those three in midfield, we'll absolutely boss in the midfield, and that's often the case where these games are, you know, won is the midfield. And granted, yeah, the past couple of times we've played them, they've done an okay job at nullifying the midfield, but then they haven't beat us. You know, they've controlled arguably the area where the game was won and lost, but they still lost. So if we have those players like Iwata to shore up that defence in the midfield, link the play, allow McGregor to do what he used to do years ago and roam and press and, you know, link the play and, you know, do what he used to do and maybe even score, because he was always good for a goal against Rangers back when he was playing under Rodgers. No, a lot of people forget that.
He did play a more advanced role, didn't he? He was more attack-minded.
Mm-hmm.
I think we lost that from him.
Yeah,
I don't know
if we lost it from him, but you know, I think he still got it in him. You know, he scored a couple of goals this season. You know, and whether they're deflected at the back of the net or not, they still count and they're still him taking the shot. And Hatati's always good for a goal against him as well. So, you know, I feel like that midfield three there is the key to what we need to do. You know, but we've got, you know, I think all over the pitch. I've often said it before, and maybe with a couple of previous results, we don't, you know, the argument could be made that their players are a lot better than what we put. But I still like to argue that I don't really think any of their players would even get on our bench. You know, I mean, I don't think they're that good. You know, they've got players like Tillman and that who don't even turn up in games against us. You know, the walking cheeseburger is, you know, it's just out the door. You know, I mean, look, both teams are given this. We've both got hungry strikers, but theirs is hungry in a whole different other kind of context.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. There's just one last one we'll finish up on. I'll go to you, Terry. If O'Reilly plays, it's time for him to step up. He's a potential but a superb player, but he hasn't quite reached it yet. A big performance in this game could push him on. He's certainly a player that was falling by the wayside a wee bit and a wee bit of dip in form. He's come back into the squad and he's looked very much the part. Let's say with somebody like Moy miles out the picture, is this O'Reilly's time to grab this match with the throat again and step up, Terry, and show the magic that we know he's got?
Could well be, and I think it was Brown Warrior put the point up there around just how key McGregor is to the way that Celtic play, and if they do a man marking job on McGregor, somebody else is going to have to step up, and it could be that O'Reilly is that player. We talked about him taking on added responsibility when McGregor was out of the team. Could this be the time where he steps up even with McGregor in the team? And another thing that I'm just sitting there thinking when I'm listening to you talking about the midfield area, if they do press high and they do stop us getting the ball from the centre backs, could it be that then we find a different way? Because that defence of theirs can be got at. I think they're really, really slow. And I don't think it would be a bad thing if we even went just a little bit more direct in this game. And I'm not talking about lumping high balls, because that's not going to work with Kyogo Maeda.
Diagonals they shot are.
I'm talking good quality longer balls through the channels, down the line, in behind the defenders. Because those two centre backs, you've seen the state of them in the last game. They'll be in eggshells. And as we've already touched on, Barisic has had a few nightmares against us. Tavernier got a couple of goals against us, but defensively he's been poor. It might actually play into our hands if we're forced to go a little bit more direct. I think that could be an interesting dynamic. But going back to O'Reilly, I don't think he was that far out of form, to be honest. I just think there was an expectation level.
It's an overreaction.
Every time this guy gets the ball, he's going to do something quite classy. And I think there was just a period of a few games where he probably wasn't in the spotlight as much as other players. But
every time Moy played well, O'Reilly got worse in the fans' mind.
Aye.
Yeah. But that was proven to be a purple patch. Moy's miles off. He's nowhere. Should be nowhere near that squad. So, I agree with what you're saying there.
And I also look at, the big thumpings we've handed out. I was saying there earlier about the Abada stat that he's maybe not started the last 3, which I'm winging, by the way, because I've no idea if it's right or not. I don't think he has. But you also look at the times we've humped them under Ange, the big statement ones, the 3-0s, the 4-0s. O'Reilly's front, left, centre of all those games. You look at his assist in the 3-2 win, which at one point when Jota makes it 3-1, we all started dreaming again, even then, of that.
Yep.
This could be one of those days. It could be one of those. O'Reilly set the tone with that assist. He's done it. He plays at the weekend, and I tend to agree with Terry. I don't think he's been as bad as what's been made out. I think Moy did very well when he came in. In fact, I think he stood out for weeks. It might pain me to say that, but he did. And what actually brought to the table, though, for the fickle fan, which we all are to certain extents and in different dimensions, you watch a game and you start going, that's right. O'Reilly's not doing that. O'Reilly doesn't do that. O'Reilly's off the boil. This is the guy who's got the most assists in the league this year. And we're talking about him having a dud. See, I feel like sometimes you've got to accept you've got good competition in places. And when Moy was in, he was in on merit because of a brilliant World Cup. Ange had got him to fitness for Australia almost essentially. If you look back at it, I don't mean that was his like why he did it. But Moy seemed to arrive at that World Cup in sort of a peak fitness sort of shape that we hadn't really seen the Celtic shirt. He replicated that form after the World Cup in a Celtic jersey. Fair play to him. We can't get away from that. But what then happened was, during that period, O'Reilly, who was sacrificed for and very much in form Aaron Moy, seemed to become worse and worse. Absence usually makes the heart grow fonder. In O'Reilly's case, it was the opposite. He became a worse player the less he played. His numbers won't lie come the end of this season, and bank your money on him having a goal involvement this weekend.
A goal involvement, maybe a goal. Should have had a very familiar run through again, and he done that wee soft touch. He seems to have scored a few now. He's adding goals. Is that something, would you use that ability he's got, try and push him up the park further? I think he's got that to do, Connor. Is that something that we should do? Look to get him a bit more advanced on the ball, encourage him.
Yeah, I think if Hatate isn't fit, I would put him in. When you think back to I always remember the 3-0 game at the Park, he was absolutely electric that night. He was absolutely fabulous. He was unlucky not to score for, I think it was for a corner. He took a corner and it was dipper in and McGregor had to tip it over the post. Do you remember that? He was unlucky not to score that, and I was like, oh shit. He had an absolutely fabulous game.
And by the way, that would go in on this current McGregor form. That would go in this thing.
I don't know if it's true, right? I don't know if it's true, but I see a comment saying that statistically, I think he's the worst keeper in Europe. I don't know if that's true or not. By whatever stats that these people are using, he's maybe the worst keeper in Europe. And you know what? That would just be the icing on the cake for the angriest man alive's final season at the shit pit. But I think the ball boys will have to watch them because he's got a couple of spare bottles of Lucozade Sport on hand. But O'Reilly could definitely be in with a shout of coming in and impacting this game. Obviously, he's been playing pretty well the past couple of games, although I feel like he was kind of at fault for that goal that Motherwell scored because he gave the ball away in the edge of the box, but never mind. He will gain confidence from that, and we've seen him before. He can play in these big games and he can definitely have an impact, and he can score, he can assist, and I almost feel like we need him. He's very good. I think he's good for taking set pieces as well. Because if you think about it, who would take the set pieces by him? Jota, and he might not even be playing. So he's definitely got this role here, and we really need to take advantage of these because something that I've really noticed is we are absolutely terrible at corners at both sets of the park. We cannot.
Celtic set piece deliveries have been relatively poor all over the park, whether it's direct free kicks, indirect free kicks, corners. We've never really capitalised on it, and this is something that we've been saying for ages. It's almost mental to think that we've not identified someone who's a penalty taker and is a free kick expert and starting to capitalise on them. Crossing's just another issue there, I think, with that as well.
But did we not go 2 years, Steve-O, under Rodgers, where we hadn't scored a goal from a set piece?
I believe there was I'm sure someone in the chat might be able to tell us. There was
similar.
a damning stat about corners in particular that we hadn't scored from. Corners was always our big Achilles heel.
Similar.
It was insane the amount that we done it, which is kind of funny because we were playing against a team who are all about set pieces, balls into the box, and that's how they scored their goals. It's create chaos theory, launch it in, and hope something goes tits up, hope for a mistake, and capitalise. But we're well over the hour, guys. I want to thank everybody. There's 140 odd watching live at the moment. Ask you a wee question at the start, and Bhoycie's just came in, so I'll quickly ask you.
I was watching.
We asked about the new shirt. How did you vote? Love it? Loathe it? Not decided.
I'm going to go with the judge on the first photo I seen. I think it was you that shared it in the group. I thought, fucking hell, that looked like it almost looked like it was made of like thick, like cotton. Do you know what I mean? Like your granny knitted it. Do you know what I mean? I just thought this is trying. It looked like it was trying too hard to be cool. And I know the Nike one will get a lot of similarities, but that was very much in the modern era nylon version. It was just done with that style. That it was just done with a bit of panache. It looked cool, and it was a real doff of the cap to that era with the same amount of stripes and all that. I thought that's really classy. This one, I don't know. I need to see. I mean, do you know what? You'll end up liking it anyway. Do you know what I mean? So fuck it. But £80 seems a fucking hell of a lot of money.
£80 grotesque, but it's split the room as we'd expect, and it's won by a Bhoycie.
Go on.
51% are loving it. 38% are undecided, and the rest absolutely hate it. But we know you'll buy it because we're all shills for some merchandise. No, I'm not having that.
David Kelly!
That's a bad take,
I love a football shirt, mate. I love a football shirt, man.
To finish up, it wouldn't be the hype train without a prediction. The bus is hyping it up. Balls out the bath, boys. I want to know. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. I want a score, and I want a key player and why. That can be the scoring a goal, they're assisting, or they're just turning up and having a worldie. Terry, tell me, what's happening on Sunday?
2-0.
I'm just copying whatever Terry says anyway. 2-0
Kyogo Starman, just because he's done it in the last few games against them.
I like it. It's vanilla, but it's probably accurate, isn't it?
Yep.
Bhoycie?
3-0. 3-0. They're not scoring. 3-0.
And who's your man pick? Single out.
I think out the 3, the one I'm most convinced will score is Jota.
Lovely. And Connor, a man who's not one to mince his words. Tell me, is it going to be capitulation? Is it going to be meltdown? Is there going to be red cards? Is there going to be men draped in Union Jacks greeting at the end and throwing scarves on the track?
I've made this prediction before, and I'm going to just, stick with it because it'll have to happen eventually. I'm going to say 4-0. I'm going to say the key player in the game is going to be Jota. He's going to come back with his double denim and take it off and back into the hoops and absolutely play a blinder and score and maybe get a couple of assists. And I think Morelos will get a red card and be sent for an early kebab.
I love it. Well, the bus rolls on. Make sure you get your body over here tomorrow night because it's, of course, Bustalgia and Phil McGinley is another topper in store for you. Until then, guys, see you on the other side.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Brilliant job, mate.
Guys.